Radio stations of DoraCountyDailyNews.com. I'm Tim Coles, joined once again by Sturgeon Bay School District Superintendent Dan Tjernagel. And on Election Day, April 5th, you will most likely see this question if you live in the Sturgeon Bay School District. Shall the School District of Sturgeon Bay, Dora County, Wisconsin, be authorized to exceed the revenue limit specific in Section 121.91 Wisconsin statutes by $1.9 million for the 2016-2017 school year only, by $2.25 million for the 2017-2018 school year, and by $2.7 million for the 2018 and 2019 school year only for non-recurring purposes consisting of funding educational programming for students. Dan, what the heck does that mean?
What does it mean, Tim? That is a good question. Let's take a run at a couple of the bullet points you and I have talked about, see if that helps inform our listeners again on what this is. So first of all, an educational programming referendum is focused on educational programming which is primarily staff positions or personnel in nature, designed to keep acceptable class sizes for our community and the various programs that we still do have. With almost 80% of the school district budget, or technically in our last full fiscal year, it's 77.22% for the listeners who are wondering, or really in real numbers of $11.6 million of the $15 million spent on school district expenses minus food service, being related to those personnel expenses, really our people business, which education is, has a cost if we want to maintain those various programs, class sizes, what have you. So even with the additional cuts and steps that have been taken to save money, based on what the board has done in the past, and again what we're doing with some changes as we move forward, really that educational programming referendum becomes necessary. So people, of course, now in some cases are probably wondering the question, right? It's okay to ask it, even someone in my position, right? Why is such a referendum necessary? Why would the board vote to do this? Because I think we can be honest, no one wants to pay more taxes, and Tim's giving me the shorten it up for the next segment.
We'll cover that next because you're actually kind of studying this for your doctoral dissertation, and yeah, we'll cover that next on the radio stations at DoraCountyDailyNews.com. Radio stations at DoraCountyDailyNews.com, joined once again by Dan Tjernagel from Sturgeon Bay School District. And Dan, you know, every school district in Dora County definitely, I feel like since I started working here, I've kind of gone through this process already. So, operational referendums, why do we have to go through this all the time?
It's like you're reading my notes, Tim, right, as we started to get into it in our last clip. So people, of course, are entitled to wonder that question, why is such a referendum necessary? Because these referendums are, of course, different from the referendums many of us grew up with building new schools, doing major capital updates, etc. So as we try to help people understand that, one of the ways to try to explain this complicated situation without getting too technical, which doesn't help for people either, is that revenue limits went into place back in the fall of 1993 based on 1992 spending levels. While controlling spending and protecting taxpayers is of course very important, we can all appreciate that, there are concerns with a system that is now almost 25 years old. Revenue limits take into account important details such as the revenue a district receives combined with the 3-year average of student enrollment figures. But unfortunately, that type of formula leaves, whether it's Sturgeon Bay, other districts across our county, other districts across the region, or state for that matter, in a difficult position.
And some of the stats that you provided with me, these have been relatively successful for non-recurring operational referendums, looking at about a 60% passage rate. I mean, it doesn't sound fantastic, but it's something that has worked in the past. And you're studying this as part of a doctoral program that you're running through. Have you learned anything new as you kind of approach this referendum from that coursework?
Well, I think when you look at the data, and people wonder about the situation and always if the local community is, you know, a unique situation or not. And really with that information I shared that I know you said you might do a little bit of a breakdown or story on, if you go historically over the past 16 years, it's about a 60% passage rate statewide. But if you go to just the past few years, going back from, you know, to 2011, like Act 10 as people are aware of, then we really see a passage rate that's a little more than 10 percentage points better than that, or a little over 70% on the non-recurring side, which is the type of referendum we're running. So I think really as people looked at it, yes, times are tough, no one wants to pay more taxes, but as some things have been done and changes have been made at state and district levels, it would appear as though taxpayers are even more supportive of this sort of thing in recent years than they have been the past 16, because I think they know people are really trying to do the best that they can, all for the benefit, of course, of our kids and families.